James Marriott is a YouTuber turned musician whose 2025 album, Don't Tell the Dog, beat the likes of Sabrina Carpenter and Oasis to a UK #1 album. Now he's lending his indie pop sound to the stage at Latitude Festival. James, welcome to the Independent
Thank
Studios.
you so much.
How are you?
That's very kind. I always find that comment quite funny because it's like as if they released like debut albums or like, you know, they just released an album that week, but they were old albums. So it was a win, but it was at what cost, you know?
Do you know what? We still use it as the plug. It's still an
Yeah.
achievement. Sabrina Carpenter.
That's the title.
And the Oasis, in their comeback year as well.
Yeah. I did get I do have that great fear of some older man coming after me, being like, "You didn't actually beat them." I know I didn't. I'm sorry. I know I didn't.
How was it finding out that you'd got a UK #1 album?
It's so weird. You kind of like, because the first album I released, I think got to number 17 in the album charts, and it was kind of a last minute like, oh, maybe we should kind of go for something here, and then it did really well for the amount of work we put into it at the time, and it was received really well by my audience, which was fantastic. And then with the second campaign and with AWOL, it was kind of, how do we build on that, and how do we kind of push for a slightly better spot, and then you kind of don't want to think too much about it. Like, yeah, a top 10 would be great, a top 5 would be great. Anything more is fantastic, for sure. But it's a very temperamental thing. You kind of find out a couple of weeks before who's releasing in your week and then if it's worth like truly going for it in that sense. So it's very last minute and the pressure seems to kind of mount as time goes on. And yeah, it was terrifying. Like, it was like gently quite terrifying. We found out in the midweeks that we were doing quite well, and that's obviously when the official charts start going, like they start gearing up for interviews and stuff, and they do this interview on the Tuesday. Bear in mind that the results are on the Friday, and they give you the award on the Tuesday and do the interview on the Tuesday so they can post it when it's announced, but you have no idea if you've got it or not.
Oh my God.
So there's probably an archive of artists holding #1 awards and doing interviews
when they
don't get it.
Oh my gosh.
So
I'd want that footage.
You're right. There's a part of my brain now that I know that. I'm like, oh, I want to see. I want the drama. But yeah, it was one of those moments. The only thing I can really equate it to is getting my A-level results back.
Oh.
Like, it's so, like, having another moment like that in my adult life was kind of like where my sister was really proud of my A-level results. And then kind of, talking to my friends and family, just calling everyone I knew and just being in tears about it. Yeah. Because it's not something you can ever really predict.
Yeah.
So it happened and you're like, well, now it's happened. And now there's a little gold award in my apartment that I just kind of look at every now and then. I'm like, that's weird, that's there. But yeah, no, it was fantastic.
So you said that you kind of found out a few weeks before going into that who you're going to be up against.
Yeah.
Who's like, when you saw the name Sabrina Carpenter and Oasis, were you just like, it's not worth doing that?
Well, it's one of those things where when artists of that ilk are kind of coming back and doing tours, you kind of, it's actually a little bit predictive. You can kind of assume what kind of units they're going to get in that week. Sorry to get really scientific about it, but it's you kind of know, like, if we can get above this number, we have a really good shot here, unless an artist comes out, like, so for example, a Taylor Swift might come midweek and be like, here's this vinyl version, and then you're done.
Yeah.
So it's one of those situations, but, we didn't have too much pressure on it. We thought it could happen. If it didn't happen, we were still really proud of the work that we'd done, really happy with the way it was all received, and it was just kind of a cherry on top, really. It was a really lovely situation.
Well, that's very humble of you to not want to, hammer home the Sabrina Carpenter bit, but no. I would.
For me,
congratulations.
The music comes first for me. Like, we were really proud of that record, and we're really proud of the next one, and that for me is the most important thing. The people that got me to that position, that were actually, going out, coming to the meet and greets, coming to the shows. And buying the album and streaming the album, or even just like listening to it from someone else's Spotify or anything, it was mainly, it was for those people that the award kind of goes more to them than it does to me. So, yeah.
And how does Don't Tell the Dog differ from your previous work then?
I would say I was really trying to establish myself as an indie artist before Don't Tell the Dog. I really wanted to kind of follow on from kind of the Bitter Tongues EP with Grapes and kind of establish more as an indie rock artist. I think because of that was what was widely thought of me in my space. But then as time has gone on and I've listened to more and more music, I found my interests leaning for the first time more towards pop music. And so what I love about Don't Tell the Dog and the work we did on that is that kind of trying to find that through line between indie and pop, which now is kind of the way that I write music, in some kind of weird middle point between the two, with some kind of like country-ish influence every now and then. And I guess at the heart of it all is my lyrics, which are very honest and sometimes a little bit self-scathing, but I try to remain as honest with myself, sometimes to a pretty weird point where I start writing in ways that become predictive about my life. It's a really hard thing to describe, but I will sometimes go back half a year after I've written a lyric and go, oh my God, that's what this was about. And I hadn't even really consciously thought of it in my personal life by that point. So yeah, it was, I like to think that every single record that myself and my team work on is a significant step up from the previous one. And we felt that way with Don't Tell the Dog and with the next album as well.
Writing those lyrics, I read that it kind of happened across the space of a year whilst you were going through therapy, and then you recorded it quite fast in 3 weeks.
3 weeks. I think it was 18 days, yeah.
Tell me a bit about that process.
Horrid. I wouldn't recommend that for anyone. It was kind of getting to the point, because a lot of the studio time I spend with my live band as well, and then our producer Alexi, who's from Finland, he kind of, we fly him to wherever we are and then he helps us out. We kind of have this long process of demo creation before we get into the studio, where we kind of bounce these ideas off of each other. Sometimes I go and do writing sessions with different people. Sometimes it's with Jono, my keys player, but also, you know, my main writing partner. We have a really sincere level of comfort writing with one another. And then these ideas are bounced off of each other and kind of like a Lego tower, kind of like built up into these final pieces. And then quite often last minute, there'll be these huge lyric overhauls where I just feel like, no, this song isn't about this thing, it's about this thing. And the lyrics primarily come from me. They are, sometimes there's a lyric which, when you write a song, it just has to be a lyric. Like with, I don't want to live like this or something like that. That is the first thing that came out of my mouth when that song was being written. And then it's like, okay, well, that has to be the lyric. But then the verses and the bridges and stuff like that really does take a lot of rework for me.
That's my favourite song on the album.
Thank you. I think it's the kind of, weirdly, the big inspiration behind that was Carly Rae Jepsen, which is a really weird thing to think.
I don't think that's weird at all.
Yeah, it was like kind of lending back into that really as poppy as we could get it, really. Yeah. But yeah, very, very happy with the album. I thought it was a good album.
You also sampled quite a few unusual noises. Am I wrong here? Tell me about swing. How on earth did that happen?
Yeah, so it was a slide.
A slide.
So
okay.
It was in Big Jelly Studios in Ramsgate, which is a great studio. Great studio. Sorry, break the fourth wall.
There's his office moment.
Yeah, there's my office moment. And they did this magnificent thing, right, where there's a control room where the producer sits, the recording engineer sits, and then there's like this, that's above the room. And then there's this kind of great space underneath it where you can put like a band or like there's a vocal booth and all of that. But there's stairs to kind of get up and down. And sometimes it's long to kind of be going down and setting up the mics again. And, we've got to go and like change some amp settings or whatever. So what these guys did in Big Jelly is they put a slide where the stairs are. So you can just, and I don't know how safe it is, but you can just rocket yourself down this slide. And whenever we're in a studio which has something authentic and kind of individual about it, we try and use it for something.
Yeah.
So for that, it was the slide. At the beginning of Something's Wrong, there's kind of this woo sound, and that's our producer bending the slide, not breaking it. And for the next record, I think there was some chimes in the studio, so we did this big chime swirl thing, and then just chucked it for a load of guitar pedals, and it's at the beginning of one of the songs, really mashed up, but it doesn't sound like chimes at all. So yeah, we like to do kind of we're quirky. We do quirky little things every now and then.
I love that. I love that they've got a slide in the office. Guys, I think we should get a slide in the office.
You should. All the way down the building as well. Just keep going.
Yeah. The title, Don't Tell the Dog. I want to know a little bit more about that, because this kind of came from your childhood dog that you had? How did this start?
Don't Tell the Dog, I was kind of wanting to write an album which played on attachment theory a little bit, and the ways in which your childhood affect your adulthood in ways like you don't really realize it's happening until you kind of go back over your history and go, oh, maybe this is the reason why I react to these sorts of situations or whatever. So for me, it was about establishing a through line between things that happened to me as a child and the way in which I react to, friendships and relationships and my family as an adult. And I found my dog, Jasper, to be a really interesting point of pivot in my life where I basically for a lot of family, personal reasons, I didn't see this dog for at least a year, maybe a couple of years, and he died in that period of time. And the last thing I saw of him was his ashes being thrown into the ocean. So the dog is blue on the album cover for that reason. And for me, there was this level of so much of my life changing in that period of my life from what would have been probably 14 to 16 years old, around that area. And Don't Tell the Dog is essentially struggling to communicate that change with something you no longer have contact with, and trying to establish the differences that you've made in your life since your childhood. So yeah, that's kind of it.
Wow.
And then the other side of it is I really like the idea of having a very block-coloured white album, blue dog, with the title being Don't Tell the Dog. You're kind of looking at this dog and go like, what do I know? So yeah, it's very interactive in that sense.
Who is the dog in the Instagram photos? Because that's obviously not the dog.
No, it's not. It's
Who is the dog in the Instagram photos?
It's my friend's dog,
Okay, we
who
just
apparently
borrowed
does a lot of shoots. So there you go.
Superstar in his own right.
Superstar, yeah. Not a big enough dog. It should have been a golden retriever. We'll let it be.
You had some very popular videos back in the day on YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, still now. But these particular videos, you would comment on other YouTubers who were trying to make it as singers.
Yeah, how dare they?
And branching out into the music industry. At what point did the light bulb go off for you and you decided that, no, actually, I'm going to do this as well now?
I think kind of not to tread on my own toes here too much, but I think a lot of content like that online, especially in that period of time, and I may only be talking about myself here, I guess, but it was projection. It was, I couldn't understand how someone else was making that leap. And I think for me, it was easier for me to deal with that by kind of taking the mick out of it than it was to actually go for it myself. And it was only when I really met people that were in my position, that were making music and doing it quite kind of just in a fun way, not necessarily with much stress on it, that I kind of figured to myself, well, why shouldn't I give this a go? And COVID kind of came at a really interesting time for that, because all of a sudden I had loads of time indoors. I was able to kind of buy Ableton, which is a DAW kind of production software, and kind of teach myself little bits of that. And I was rubbish. And I'm still not great at production myself, but turning it into a thing which, exploring that side of my brain without needing to be kind of derivative about it and taking the mick out of other people, but just kind of focusing on it as a passion of mine, which it always has been, was a real turning point for me. I mean, the thing about my YouTube channel, if you go back, the first videos are music. So it is really, and throughout the entire period of time, I've spoken to old friends about it, and they've shown me messages in 2018 of me saying, I just want to be on stage, which I'd completely forgotten about. So I feel like I found myself in the right place, but it did take a while, and I was a bit mean at certain points in my life, which I do regret, and I apologise. But yeah.
What do you think that James would say about...
He'd have a field day. He would have a field day on me. And I respect it. I allow it. That's why whenever I've had, kind of negative feedback over, my work or my journey, I've completely accepted it and kind of ridden with it, because who am I to say otherwise? I think music is especially when you're tackling music for the first time. I mean, I would have been 23 that I released my first piece of music as an adult. It's hard. Like you are bad at first. You just are bad, and you surround yourself with good people and hope that it kind of gleans off of them and hits you, and it gets better. But I do believe that that we're in a really solid spot now, and I trust my ear and I trust my writing. So yeah.
What do you think those videos taught you when it came to kind of launching your own music career?
I think you need to avoid being disingenuous as much as possible. I think the audiences online these days, especially, are far more open to seeing what you are willing to give a go at. Like, there's so many people now which start their careers doing one thing online and then moving into others. You have Markiplier releasing films, Raka Raka, and that's in, you know, movie and film. I have a friend called Pinely who is also moving into doing short film directing. He directed a few of my music videos for Don't Tell the Dog. And this is a thing which, then you look at the music side, you've got Addison Rae who came through, obviously before that, Troye Sivan, Dodie, Joji even. There is a true you can do it level to it. And it's becoming a lot more possible in that sense for people to kind of let their audience kind of be part of an honest journey within your artistry. And yeah, I think keep honest and you've got a good shot at it, really.
You mentioned quite a few, you know, content creators, I guess, that have then come up through the music industry. What does it mean to be an artist coming up through the internet rather than, like, you know, the traditional music industry angles of gigging and things like that?
It swings and roundabouts. The fact of the matter is you will blow up quicker online than you will in person, but there is a certain level of the kind of like industry plant style thing, and the kind of it comes across as a little bit less sincere. There's a thing which, there's a quote somewhere from Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters saying that the best way to this day to promote your music is to play it live. And I believe there is a strong balance to be had there. I think live music and music on track are two very different industries, but if you are able to strike a strong enough balance between those two things, I think Florence Road are a great example of that. A band which from Ireland whose first moment were these kind of garage TikTok videos, but now loads of their content comes from their live music, and their music is, at the base of this, incredible. So I think you need to be able to kind of strike that balance between doing something online and doing something live and in person, and kind of creating this fan base to be successful in the modern era.
And obviously, it's putting yourself online a lot. How do you navigate that space and your own mental health when it comes to almost like the hamster wheel that is self-promotion?
Yeah, I'm very, you know, fortunate in my position that I've been around the ringer so many times that I try my best to kind of keep my happiness within my personal life and treat my work as my work. I love performing and I love writing music and releasing records and marketing records, but at the base of all of me and all of this is just someone who likes spending time with my cat and going to cafes and, you know, my coffee company and kind of spending time with my friends. So music for me is kind of like, I kind of morph into somewhat of what I feel is like an other. When I perform, it's very theatrical and I love it. But I'm also very aware of the fact that this is a very fortunate career to have and to be in. And I treat every moment as if it is the last moment that I have it. So yeah, I try my best to focus on the positives of, you know, having this career than worrying too much about what people who don't like me think about it. It's a
good way to be.
Yeah. And I like being that point of contact for other people who are trying to do that. I have a friend called Gabby Bell who's kind of working on more music and she's kind of putting herself out there. She kind of comes from a similar style of YouTube content that I used to make, and it's interesting, she has the same kind of concerns about, what should my short form content be, and I'm just kind of there like, just do it, it doesn't matter, like as long as you're honest about it and you enjoy it, you know, that energy will kind of come across. So
your new song, California Rain, it's about being homesick when you were touring the States. Where in the country? When did that come to you? How did we get to that song?
It was Caldwell, Idaho was the first day that I spent writing that song with Jono, who I mentioned before, my keys player, my kind of main writing partner in that sense. It was tough. Touring the States is tough because if you're on a bus, some days you kind of wake up on a bus and you're still driving to the next place because everything is so far from each other. And we had this one day off in Caldwell, Idaho, and to save money, we were kind of staying in kind of this bus park, like outside of a town. So to get into town took ages. It was a Sunday, so nothing was open. I went in, had a coffee, came back to this hotel, and kind of the only person that was still at the hotel was Jono. And I was having one of these days where I was like, God, this is so hard, and like everyone's going to be worrying about where I am, and everyone's got, I'm like having this real diva moment of a day, and I get back expecting people to be like, oh my God, James, are you okay? Like, where have you been? And everyone else was gone and having a very similar day to me. So I kind of saw Jono, and he'd started writing this song, and he kind of got the chords together for the intro and the verse chords. And we started writing, there was a thing opposite just out of the window, there's a place called Magic Recipe. And it was basically I started writing about like there's no magic recipe for kind of feeling okay whilst being away from your life. And then it's a shame because that lyric got scrapped. But the song then became, so we're in Caldwell, Idaho, which is kind of, God, I can't even remember exactly where it is. It's all a blur. I'd like to think it's somewhere around Minnesota. And then we went down the West Coast. So we did Vancouver, then Seattle. And we were rehearsing this song, and I was kind of singing the top line as we were going down the West Coast. And then as we go down the West Coast, all of these kind of moments of traveling through these cities and seeing loads of different things kind of came through in the lyrics. Kind of, it's interesting because the song's about California, but the second verse is very much about Seattle. Like rolling down the bay was kind of, I remember the stairs going down to go get a salmon sandwich. The stairs were like really steep, so I was kind of imagining how I felt in those mornings and kind of getting off and kind of scraping off all of the dust from the day before and trying to enjoy a day in a new city. And then I just hoped when we got to California that it wouldn't rain, because then otherwise that would completely ruin the point of the song. And it was cloudy slightly, and I was like, better not. So yeah, it was very much written for that tour and about that tour. And sometimes I think it's good, like I Don't Want to Live Like This, if you have a moment with a song and you believe in it, play it immediately and feel the response of it. And for that reason, it's the song's not on the next record. It's very much its own moment in time, and I love that for that song. Yeah.
Album number 3 on the way?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
What can you tell us? Can you tell us?
I'm still looking at my management in the corner. No, there is no album. There is no album on the way.
Well, you said something at the start of the interview, and I should have jumped on it there.
Yeah, there is absolutely no album, I promise, but there will be signs.
Okay, well, I'll ask you this then instead. You kind of changed direction a little bit from album number 1 to the second one, just in terms of like inspiration and theme and all of that. Are there any new inspirations that you would like to take into album 3?
So let's say, hypothetically, I was almost finished with a third album. I would want to write something which was... I wanted to write about the kind of formations of love and the kind of... the doubts that you have and the finality of love. So I've been listening a lot more to kind of alternative pop music and also a lot more folky indie stuff. And I think for me, the stuff that I've been writing over the last year and a half has been both of these things. So for me, it was kind of, how do I produce a record which is able to have both of those flavors? And I love the idea of having a record which starts more alternative, old poppy, a bit more kind of sensual in a way, weirdly, and then develops as you kind of rid yourself of that superficial layer you put on for other people. And as love begins to form, it becomes a lot more acoustic and it becomes a lot more real feeling. So that's kind of where my head's at regarding a hypothetical future record.
That sounds very, very exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Now, I love to put together little playlists with artists based on like experiences or moods that you could be in. Would you be okay if we put together just like 5 songs of a playlist?
I don't have my phone on me though. I might have to refer to my phone.
Okay. What would be your go-to road trip song?
Okay. Okay. This is going to be tough. Can I get my phone? Am I allowed to get my phone?
You go get your phone.
There is a song off of the latest Time record which absolutely feels like the one, but I always forget the name off of it. Because this was, when we were in America, I was listening to this record all the time. Or maybe I was listening to it after. It's off of I Quit. Love You Right by Henham.
Love You Right by Henham. Go-to breakup song?
Go-to breakup song? I feel like it's too easy to say Somebody Else by the 1975, but that is the one that comes to my
no,
mind.
I think that's, I think that's a
Whenever
great
I go
tune.
through a breakup, that's always the song which comes to my mind because
Yeah.
I love how honest it is about kind of knowing that you've moved on from something, but also not wanting to think about it.
Yeah.
And that kind of like pride element of it. Yeah.
Cooking up a storm in the kitchen.
Cooking Up a Storm in the Kitchen. Probably Dance Yourself Clean by LCD Sound System. Just because that's my favourite song to listen to while I do something. Like
Nice.
that's because it has has like a really slow build, and then when it cuts into the synth pop, it's like, come on, yeah, great feeling.
Dancing with friends on a night out.
Dancing with Friends on a Night Out. Okay, I'm going to refer to my Gimme by ABBA. Sorry, the best song of all
Nice.
time. Like anyone who says, if you meet someone in your personal life and they say, I don't really like ABBA, never talk to them again.
I
You
agree.
save yourself a lot of pain.
I agree wholeheartedly. The song you listen to when you've got a crush.
When I've got a crush, okay, I'm going to refer to my playlist again. Because I have a playlist where I just kind of, any song that I feel one way about, I kind of put it on this individual playlist. Hold on, let me have a think. When I have a crush. Red Earth and the Pouring Rain by Bears Den.
Oh, Best Den.
Yeah, that's that song I have like a very strong connection with, and I'll go back to it every now and then.
Yeah.
Because it kind of captures that lonely feeling of just kind of wanting to reach out to someone.
Do you know, when I re-listened to the album earlier, Bears Den did pop into my head on one of the songs. I can't remember which song it was now, but Bears Den did pop into my
I've
head.
heard
Like,
that
this
a little
is
bit about my next record as well. Not that it exists. The hypothetical next record.
the
The
hypothetical next
second half of the next record. I've heard that a little bit about hypothetically.
Okay. What can Latitude Festival goers expect from your performance?
We're bringing the bangers. That's like kind of like the festival season that I want to have. I remember I was chatting to a band. This was ages ago when I did Yours and Ours in Australia. We kind of had this festival set which was very much kind of going through the motions of my albums and loads of different feelings. And I came off stage and the guy was like, just play the fast ones. And ever since then, I've gone like, right, well, that's what I'm going to do. We're going to play the fast ones.
The crowd pleasers.
Absolutely.
The ones that you can jump around to.
Exactly. I do
Yeah.
want to play, we are playing a new song as well. I'm going to throw that out there, and my management are going to kill me. But
There you go.
Yeah.
There's my exclusive,
there's
guys.
the exclusive. We will play a new song off of a hypothetical
Amazing.
record that doesn't exist.
Well, if you weren't coming, you're definitely going to come now, aren't you, for that
Yeah.
new track? Thank you so much for joining us today.
thank
It's
you.
been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. You can catch James at the second stage on the Saturday of Latitude Festival, which runs from the 23rd to the 26th of July.
Can I also give a shout out to Florence Road? You should go see them, their class. Sorry, just throwing that one out there.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
Thanks.